Right, as promised, 3 dynamic women have been recognized for their stellar work with the coveted Standard Bank Young Artist Awards. It's 2 women and a gentleman, and they're here in studio with us to tell us about their craft and what this means for them. It's a warm welcome to dancer and choreographer Phetla, pianist Megan-Geoffrey Prins, and visual artist Gabrielle Goliath. The executive producer of the National Arts Festival, Ashraf Johaardien, is also here in studio with us. Thank you very much to all my guests for joining us this morning. Let me start with you, perhaps, and tell us more about these awards and what it is that you're looking for specifically.
So the Standard Bank Young Artist Awards are, I'd like to think, the premier awards for young artists in South Africa. The idea behind the awards is to identify emerging artists who show great promise. The alumni of the Young Artist Awards include artists like Johnny Clegg, Sibongile Khumalo, Brett Bailey, William Kentridge, and these artists were identified quite young in their career by Standard Bank and the National Arts Festival, and they've gone on to really impact the fabric and texture of arts and culture in South Africa, and that's what we're hoping that this year's crop of winners will do.
Right. Before we enter the conversation with the competition winners, let's just play this for our viewers to show you exactly what it is that they do.
My work is quite social and political in nature. There's quite a strong focus on gendered and sexualized violence. It started off with quite a personal story. I lost a friend in primary school when I was quite young, and she was killed in a domestic incident on Christmas Eve. And of course that left a very strong impression on me.
Country we live in, what a talent we have. A very good morning to you again. Gabrielle, let me start with you. Congratulations. What does this mean for you?
It means so much. It is, as Ashraf said, the premier arts award in the country.
Right.
And it was such extraordinary news when he made that phone call to me.
Right.
I'm still reeling from the shock.
Well deserved. I mean, we just heard from that piece that, you know, this was, your work rather was influenced by a tragic event in your life, but you turned it around and honoring your friend, and you've managed to do that for so long. What keeps you going?
Art and what art affords us, that very unique capacity to work through these very difficult issues that we face in our country, that being gendered and sexualized violence.
Kitty, you need no introduction, dominated world stages, one of our finest exports. Congratulations to you. What does this award mean for you?
Thank you so much. It's very surreal, you know, because I think first and foremost, I've got to say thank you, you know, to NAF and to Standard Bank Young Artists, that they're the champions of the arts, you know. There's someone who's watching and listening. So that's what it means, essentially. It is so surreal because you kind of forget that there's people watching. You really do, because you just go on about what you do. You just continue crafting, and you just hope to achieve the best of yourself, you know. So I am so humbled by this whole experience. It really is amazing.
What keeps you going after all these years?
What keeps me going is the art of mastering your craft. You know, I'm not driven by passion, honestly. Passion for me is for my family, for the music that I love listening to when I'm home. Passion for food. You know, passion in relationships, but when it comes to my craft, education is what drives me. Mastering the craft, because it's such a challenge. You know, it's a language that is not understood by many. So crafting it and actually being better than yourself, being ahead of yourself, is what keeps me going.
That's such an interesting take. Megan, congratulations to you. Those fingers on the piano, you're just like a master butter on bread. Congratulations. What does this mean for you?
I'm just extremely humbled to also have gotten the award. Like we've heard, it's an incredible legacy to follow. Yeah, and you can't even apply for the award. It's a secret jury that watches you, like we've heard, and then yeah.
And what does it take to get to that level?
I think years and years of, like Kitty said, mastering your craft. You just have to persevere and keep going at it, and hopefully you get some recognition.
Ashraf, it must be difficult choosing from a pool, because South Africa, we have endless talent. It must be so difficult choosing from a pool of really amazing and talented artists. What is it that you, when you sit down as a judging panel, you're saying you're looking for?
So, what our adjudication panel does is they in fact watch young artists who are coming through the ranks for a period of several years, and what they're looking for is artists who are developing a particular signature, who are developing a particular body of work that shows promise, that shows potential to have impact. So talent is not good enough. It's about they're showing the possibility of crafting a brand that can become a brand for South Africa to fly as a kind of ambassadorial flag for arts and culture in South Africa, and not only in South Africa, but indeed on the African continent. So these are very proud African awards, and what we're looking for is artists who are going to shape the character of arts and culture on the African landscape.
Sure, shape the character of arts and culture. Gabrielle, your work, as you mentioned, is social and political. How much of it actually impacts you, or do you remove yourself from your work, especially with Faces of War that you showed at Goodman Gallery in 2014?
Oh, it impacts me on a very deep level. I'm very personally invested in what I do and what I make, and it affects me hugely, as it should all of us. I mean, that's the point of my work. I feel that this nature of violence will not come to an end until we all actually start to get involved in some way or another.
Right, and some of the stories that really touched you as you were embarking on this journey, one can't imagine that it was easy as well.
No, not at all. I mean, to hear of unspeakable horror at times, but as I said actually at the awards ceremony, I am also hugely inspired by these individuals, because they've also taught me so much about life and fighting for life and hope and dignity and aspiring towards that always, because there is always that as well, despite the trauma.
Right. And Kitty, it's strange to hear you say that when it comes to your work, it's not more about passion, it's just about honing your craft, because when one sits and looks at you, you just taken aback, and it's work of someone that looks like they've poured their heart and their soul into it. Perhaps let's talk to younger people who want to do what it is that you do.
Well, I'm a classically trained artist, and I create body of works of my own as well. And it's so imperative for me to create my own language, Kitty's language, in order to reach out to the masses. I don't know. I always say that, you know, passion can be so misleading to the true goal of your craft. And I keep using this word craft because it's very difficult. You know, being an artist is very, very difficult. I don't want to make it sound like it's such a chore, but it's such a constant juxtaposed nuance in your life, you know, because there's such a bittersweet to being an artist. And why I say passion is very misleading is that if you're passionate about something that you're crafting, I think you open yourself up to being hurt so many times by the politics, you know. So I think it's safer to just continue mastering what you do, and that's what I do actually in a nutshell, you know, because to young people I always say that the mentor has to find you, you know. It's so imperative to have a mentor, but what is so tricky about it, the mentor must find you. And this is why I've probably been able to get to where I am. I was found by a mentor, you know, and I'm still trying to figure out how one can play the role of putting themselves in the right place at the right time for the mentor to find you. You know, because as a mentee, you can't find a mentor. And at this point, mentors have to trust themselves enough to be able to say that I'm ready to pay it forth to the next person, because it's a huge responsibility to mentor someone.
Huge responsibility to mentor someone. Very interesting. Megan, for you, how much of your work do you actually carry on a daily basis?
Okay, on a daily basis, I think it depends on the type of projects I'm doing. I tend to focus on the work that's next. So if I might have a concert next week, I'll probably be working on that project. But say if I'm excited about a big project like the NAF Festival, then I start working on it now, because I'm very passionate about that. Yeah. But like Kitty was saying, it's a craft. You have to keep working at it. Yeah.
Right. Discipline, I can imagine,
almost
is a big
objectively.
thing.
Yeah.
Ashraf, let's talk to people who, because sometimes growing up, you always want to make it on a list. If you are an aspiring actor, you always have your Oscar speech ready. If you're an aspiring artist, you want to be on this. You mentioned the alumni, Mamusbongile, Kumalo, and others. Perhaps a word to young people who are looking at this and saying, I want to make it onto that list as well, and join the likes.
Look, life is a little bit of a lottery. These guys have won an award, but they are exceptionally talented. I want to pick up on something that Gabrielle has said and something that Kitty has said. So just because you're passionate about something doesn't necessarily make you just good at it. Just because you're talented, it doesn't mean that you're going to win awards. Both of those are essential components of getting to this place. So it's a combination of luck, talent, and passion. And above all of that, to come back to the last word we use, discipline and craft. So you need to be exceptional in your craft. You need to be utterly disciplined, and you need to want to be a leader in the craft that you practice. You need to want to be the best. That's the only way you can be a contender for these absolutely prestigious awards, because we're looking for the best of the best. Who I have sitting next to me is definitely the cream of the crop of South African talent for this year and next. So it's really about passion, dedication, commitment, and it can't be about wanting to win a prize. It's got to be, you've got to, like Gabrielle said, you've got to be compelled to make this work, to do this work, to wake up and to want to play the piano, to wake up and to want to do dance class. If you don't wake up with that compulsion, then this is not the world for you. You have to have the talent, you have to have the discipline, and whether or not Kitty wants to admit it, you have to have the passion.
I know a lot of people are going to kill me for saying this, and honestly, it's the first time I'm actually saying it out loud. I think it comes with growth as well. It comes with experience. You know, for instance, I mean, before I embarked into a career of radio, I was so passionate about radio when I used to listen to the stories with my mom. You know, because it was such a beautiful theatre of the mind, but I didn't have the know-how. I didn't know how to educate myself. I had to go back to the basics, because being a classical ballet dancer, or a dancer, so to speak, I don't like to confine it sometimes. Every day, you're forever going back to the drawing board. Every day, it is the hardest thing. I mean, I was saying the other day, you look at yourself physically at a 3D. There's mirrors all around you. And it goes beyond it. It goes beyond the physical aspect of it. Now it's the mental craft, you know, because, as we say, the mind is so much stronger than the physical part. Yeah.
Sure. I'm so inspired. Thank you very much for coming through this morning, and congratulations once again. Ashraf, thank you for the work that you do in recognizing our artists, because sometimes we need to give people flowers while they can still smell them. And before internationally everybody recognizes them, then we get on the bandwagon. Hey, that's one of our own. So thank you for the work that you do, and thank you guys for joining us this morning.